All right, there it is. There it is. We're back. We're back. We're putting all of our orifices inside the box right now. Wow, what a time to be alive. Hey, it's March 5th, Wednesday, 2025, and you have stumbled inside of the box. Yeah. Congrats on the sex, right? Wow. Yeah. Hey, it's Brian Campbell, the proprietor of this here channel, the Brian Campbell Experience, and my damn co-host right next to me, my best friend in the box, Rafe Boogs, Rafa Bartolome, the New York Times best-selling author, the best-selling author they've ever had. You are the BEST of selling authors, okay, Rafe?
And it's not just you who thinks that. There are many guys,
Many
guys who have said the same thing.
I hope we're actually live right now. I think the time that was set on the YouTubes was wrong, but I think we're live right now. It feels live. You know what I mean? Hey,
champ, where you go, I go. Where you eat, I eat, champ. So
tell me you
if
can
we're doing
hear
this right
me.
now, you sound good to me. I don't know if you're seeing all of the feedback that we're used to seeing, but that might just be because of the mixed message. Here we go.
Oh yeah. Well,
Thank you, KGB.
Did I do a great job of promoting the time on this show? No, I really didn't. But here's the deal, folks. We've got a very, very important show for you today. Not only are we recapping Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr. and the fallout of Knockdown Gate. I mean, Steve Willis was looking at me the whole fight with one of those eyes, right? Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's too harsh.
That's too hard. You're gonna have to finish. We are also gonna look back at the Times Square press conference that was supposed to ignite all things May 2nd there. We had some of the craziest people of all time on the dais at once. I don't know if it was the fireworks we expected. We'll get into that. And God, is there an off switch on Teofimo right now? We'll get into that as well. Also, right before we went live for this, it was official. It's breaking news, and it is official. TKO, Dana White, Nick Khan, they are joining forces with Saudi Arabia and Turkey Al Sheikh and Sela for they're calling it a promotion. It feels like it might be more of a league. We have more questions, to be fair, than answers, but that's the ish you're going to get today. Okay. All right. Remix. Thank you to everybody that saw me on the PBC call over the weekend. A wild ride there in Brooklyn. They like to get down there in the crowd in Brooklyn. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like a big hot box.
Right? It's decriminalized, man. You can't walk around the street. It's fine. People smoke on the trains. I don't know. What are you going to do? That's the way it is.
You're just going to enjoy yourself. What's the best fight you ever saw at Barclays? Tell the people.
Just at Barclays? Yeah. I don't know if I ever saw a good fight at Barclays. Did I? Oh, whichever one it was. I think it was Porter and Thurman.
Yes. Thurman, great fight. I was not ringside for that. I was for Thurman, Danny Garcia, which also was very good.
I don't even know which one of I may have saw both. I might have saw just one, but if I saw one or both, it was the one I saw. And if I saw both, then it was Porter and Thurman.
And speaking of Rafe's box, by the way, shout out to Brick Squad saying, I know it's comfortable in Rafe's box. Well, I've never actually been there, sir, but glad to see. Yeah, so I'll be dipping my toes in brunch boxing later today. I believe 2 p.m. Eastern.
There you go.
I'll be checking in on there with Matt and the boys right there. So shout out to those guys. But we got our own show.
I tried once to jump in on on one of the Twitter Spaces, and something, there I had a technical malfunction. Basically, I didn't know what I was doing. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, Grandpa. You have to unmute yourself." And I was like, "Well, I'm not muted, motherfucker." Anyway, I lost my, and that was the end of my Twitter Spaces career.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can do better than Rick Laser once did trying to log on to Skype for Ring Theory with Raskin and the great Bill Detloff. I can say great before that. I love that guy.
Anyone who was a Ring Theory head misses Detloff. If you think I'm a salty piece of shit, you should hear the great Bill Detloff, because he did it like no one else ever has.
Well, Connecticut's own Hank Williams IV is here to say Rafe was great on Pablo Torre's show. A Harvard man and a Northwestern man talking Filipino basketball. They loved the show, and you were great, Rafe, and I second that emotion. All right.
Well, I have to thank them for helping me look good. A lot of those weird cuts probably came because I was.
All right, all right. You seem. What is your salt level at the moment? Because last week you were salty as shit. Where's Rafe's mind
I'm
right
very
now?
zen right now. I'm very zen, extremely zen. I'm beatific. Everything is beautiful, baby. Kind of like Teofimo trying to explain why he's not a racist, but
Oh
not
my
like
god!
that.
Did you hear him on the dais? He's like, "I'm not a racist, but pick up that banana." I'm just like,
The human. No, what it was afterwards when he was going out there being like, he was talking to like media, whoever was there holding up their phones, and he's he's trying to be like, no, it's because we're all racist, because the race that we hate is the human race. Like he started basically
yeah.
bad mumbo jumbo that does not really explain or excuse any of his behavior. Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
mean,
try and have some of that energy at least
it's
without
hard because
all
we
the
were day one.
baggage.
We were day one Teo guys, right? Kind of day one ish.
Absolutely. I mean, he was a lot of fun early. He's still a fun fighter. He's still what drives me crazy is he still has this he still has a charming side to him that
Yes.
can come out at times. But he may, as they say, he may have jumped the shark, or I just may no longer be willing to root for him like I used to.
He has what they used to call in the wrestling game X-Pac heat, aka go home heat. We don't want you here type of heat, but all heat are welcome here, including Miami. All the hardcores, let's come inside the box, says David Fernandez. Very suggestive offering right there. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe we
party,
can
and
take
I'm the only
turns.
one coming.
Maybe one at a time. I don't really know. Rafe, can you tell anyone that's listening? And we have the hottest of hardcore, not regular fans, not okay. Um, an update on your life? Anything?
What do
You
you
got
want to
anything
hear?
for me?
No, I got nothing for you. No.
Okay, all right. You're like, I don't care about your life or you knowing about my life.
What is
I
there to
don't
say?
care.
I play basketball in the mornings.
Over at the
You want me to dox myself? What?
well, I don't
You
want
know,
people showing up looking to trim your stash after they take you to the hole,
never,
Billy.
never that,
Billy
never
Hole.
that. Yeah, I mean that would we're getting into WWE storylines here. I would say sometimes I go to the YMCA, sometimes I go to college gyms around here, wherever I can get a good workout in early in the morning.
All right. Well, there are some questions coming in. We know Remix wants to know. We've called you a stretch four before, or maybe Simo has. How is Rafe's post game these days?
These days, I don't work on it much because it's not really even part of basketball. Even I remember, and this was 10 years ago, I was playing in a men's league, and first possession of the game, caught the ball in the wing, took sort of power dribble to the left, shot a baseline jumper from about 18 feet and made it. And the guys and other team was like, "Don't worry, it's a long two." I was like, what is going on? We're playing men's league ball. Like who's shooting, who's pulling up for the Dame Lillard threes in this league? The answer was no one, but still they don't want you to take the long twos. Anyway, no, I don't. I mean, I most of my basketball energy these days is devoted to extending my range, getting myself to become more confident. I was a streaky shooter, and I was better at shooting than I gave myself credit for. But because of the time and place I grew up in, and that's pretty much everyone who I don't even place, just because it was the 90s when I was, my formative basketball years, and I was big for my team at the time. They were like, no, you don't take threes. Go ahead, work on your jumper.
Yeah.
Get a mid-range game, but no, you don't step that far out. So I just internalized that block, and so I've really been working on. Even though I would have days where I'd step out, put me on a court with no lines, all of a sudden I got range. But I basically, So most of the time I call it Operation Novak after the great Steve Novak, because at my age, that's the kind of game, if I can continue playing, which I would love to do, that's the kind of game I want. I want to be able to run 3-point line to 3-point line and still have some kind of role in the game.
No one runs the lines on the basketball court like you and Oscar, if you know what I'm saying. All right. I got 2 words for both of you. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Fish.
Yeah, there you go.
Scale. Fish.
There it is. And I haven't had long twos since I was hanging out by the hot dog stand, if you know what I mean by that grossness. All right. Hey, I do vow to one day return sound drops. I haven't given up on that. It will happen very soon. Anyway, enough talking about mustaches. women, basketball, all things that we don't care about. This is about, okay, I'm sorry, let's get back into basketball. Sorry, we're back. Remix is here. Rafe versus BC in the modern, okay? Because I'm sure Prime Rafe just destroys my white Dennis Rodman like ass, who, I'm out there to cause trouble, right? Get in the way, be a great teammate. But you used to be able to take it to the hole. What about me at 46? I just retired this year from hoops because I was getting into too many near fights with people in my community. But you still play. You're still good. Up to 11 one-on-one. What do you think the final score is?
Listen, what you just said was the ultimate tell there at the end. You're getting into too many fights. You were playing too hard. I can already tell you care too much. And you're a hacker, Brian, and I want no parts of that. So if we play
no, I'm not a hacker. I'll
let you get. I'll let you know. I'll just take it easy. If I hit like straight jumpers and win that way, cool. But I am not trying to challenge you physically because I know you're going to take that too seriously, and it's just going to get ugly from there. I don't want to get hurt. We're both too old to be getting hurt playing one-on-one basketball. I am trying to be mature now. So,
okay, my fights never surrounded hard fouls. They always surrounded.
So you're already in denial.
I'm a little bit of a chirper on the floor, so it always surrounds them not respecting my call. And then
are you being fouled, or are they calling fouls
on you?
Are you talking about 3 seconds? You calling 3 seconds? I know
like the ball goes out of bounds off of somebody. I'm the closest one I saw it. Have enough respect for my integrity that when I say, hey, it's off you, just like if you call foul, I'm giving you the foul. Respect the call, brother. I might heckle you for the call, but I'll respect it. The problem is there's a lack of respect on that floor. Then I can't stop talking about it for the next 2 hours, and eventually people are ready. But what they don't realize is while I'm turning their volume up and their heat, I'm in their head. I'm in there.
Yeah, I don't want to let BC in my head. Like you let too much therapy talk into your head. You go out like Javante.
Okay. Good transition. Good. Let's stay out of each other's head. Let's get into that box. Says that guy. We do have one quick note from a great man, Alan W. He's back, baby. Alan, show up at the BCX live chat later today. I got a lot to talk to you about the bittered bastards of baseball. But he says my boy Rafe looks like he tossed salads.
I don't know.
With maple.
Let us know. Yeah, let us know, Alan. Am I tossing salads or sads? Is this more Schaub talk?
The Reddit's. Here's something for the $1 Shave Club subscription. And Turkey and UFC just announced a boxing.
You are correct. I am a little. I have not trimmed the areas around my mustache in a minute.
Thank you, Alan, for your great support of this channel. We'll get that cashola out to Rafe to support his face. But hey, let's get into the box. Saturday night PBC on Prime in Brooklyn. Gervonta Tank Davis defending that WBA lightweight title against amateur rival and 130-pound champion Lamont Roach Jr. We all saw what happened. A controversial majority draw and the controversy surrounding the non-call in round 9 when Tank Davis got braid grease in his eyes, turned away from the action, took a knee, illegally went to the corner to get it wiped off. Referee Steve Willis, who loves to do those little dances that we like, at first said, yes, this is a knockdown. Started to count to 3, stopped. Warned Tank that it looked too much like a knockdown, because it was. And to make matters even more batshit crazy, the New York State Athletic Commission, which was less than transparent afterwards, is now claiming that there was a video replay error, that they never got the video in the allotted time. Those in the production truck, I've heard, are countering that aggressively. And we've got another big batch of BS here in boxing. Rafe, from the fight itself to Lamont Roach getting flowers, rightfully so, from everybody, all the way through Knockdown Gate. How do you respond to what went down on Saturday night?
We gotta take this apart piece by piece, because it is the most salient moment in the fight, the pivotal moment in the fight. I think we have to start with Steve Willis messing up that knockdown call. Look, I love Steve Willis. He's been a favorite of mine since he first started showing up in those Triple G fights in the New York area. In pretty much any time they're fighting in New York, New Jersey, you might catch Steve Willis. And he had, what was it? Maybe Lemieux fights where he's sort of dancing around. He was a lot of fun to watch in the ring. He was a pretty good ref. He is a good referee. He doesn't have a huge record of making these kind of mistakes, but he botched this one. And I wish he could come out and say it. But it was a nightmare scenario for him. And like, I am sympathetic to Steve Willis. I can sort of try to put myself in his head and see what he was thinking, where he clearly saw that there wasn't a punch that landed from Lamont Roach that made Tank take this bizarre turn his back and take a knee, and then run to his corner to have him put something out of his eyes or whatever. But like, you got to follow the rules. I mean, unfortunately, like, that is like, the referee has a lot of judgment in boxing. That is not part of the judgment calls that they're allowed to make. And even if you're like, part of him is thinking, well, he didn't really get knocked down, so should I call the knockdown? No, he took a knee. You got to call a knockdown.
I mean, that's Floyd Carlos Hernandez when Mayweather broke his hand back in the early 2000s, took a voluntary knee. We all remember the Cotto knee against Margarito, although the hand wraps removes the idea that I'm heckling Miguel in this case.
The iPad, is unequivocal proof.
Natter just said Steve Willis made 3 mistakes in under 30 seconds. I get what they're saying here. Let's judge Steve Willis. First and foremost, the white beard reset. Right? We gave Leonard Ellerby a lot of credit when he turned into Black Santa or Uncle Phil and kind of just, went with the times and the aging and rebranded beautifully. Your thoughts on Steve Willis's beard?
It suits him, he's pretty good. I've watched some of Steve Willis's old stand-up comedy on YouTube. It's out there, folks. It's not very good, but it's out there. And, I think it suits him. One thing I will notice, and this, I'm sure we're going to get there. I'm trying not to go too hard in this direction, but like, that the right side is drifting a little bit. It's starting to get a little farther away from the left side. I don't think it affects his vision. I think I kind of was offended by H.E. Turkey Al-Sheikh. Is that just the ring thing, or is that like his official print name? Is that like the new Gulf of America?
Dude,
H.E. His Excellency?
Turkey's seat at the fights, right? It was next to other celebrities. It said Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua. His seat just says capital H, capital E. We're here.
That's pretty funny that like that happens to be like, it happens to look like he's announcing his pronouns, which I think is probably not positive with not popular with his audience
or this country's government turn. Yes,
or our audience. Most audiences, if I'm being honest, like, I don't get as angry as some, but I'm not you won't find it in my email. But if you want to find my pronoun, you could get some of this. Anyway,
my God.
I was started off kind of respectful, and just I can't do it. Anyway.
I mean, Natter's on fire right now. He's right. So he's loved journalists and pronouns. It's like, if you're gonna behead somebody, get Coppinger. Although he seems to be on Team Turkey these days.
Look, he knows which side the bread is buttered on. I think we know that.
Rob R wants you to remember. Do you remember when Steve Willis briefly got on Twitter and was sending fans to hell for a while?
Is that the Rob R, as in Robbie Rinaldi?
That would be something.
We miss you, bro, wherever you are. Shout out to
Robbie Rinaldi. Shout out an original candy liquor. Could be Rob Riggle for all I know, but there we go.
All-time great ESPYs host. I'm sure you would agree.
So here's the deal. The WBA is ordering a rematch, it seems. They claim they were falsely reported yesterday by the Ring, that they have reported upon review that there was nothing wrong with the situation and the no knockdown call stands. They've now come out on Twitter and said, hey, you kind of misquoted us. That's not what we're saying. New York State Athletic Commission is saying this is under review. We're looking at it. You got Roach on Twitter, Lamont Roach, teasing the idea that this could get overturned. And we all feel like they're going to inevitably have a rematch. Tank has a rematch clause. He's tweeted that he'd love to do it as early as late May. So, Rafe, should this be overturned? Okay, yes from both of us. This should be overturned.
Wait,
will this, in your eyes? Because there's not a great long history of appealing decisions, results, and them actually stepping in and changing it. It almost never happens. In this case, it seems so obvious and so egregious. The biggest question I have is there actual language in let's say the New York Athletic Commission handbook does the referee's discretion trump all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, can
Right.
this be overturned?
I don't look. I'm sure. Look, everyone is just making it up as they go. So yes, it can be overturned. Personally, even though it was a clear mistake, I don't want to see this result overturned because it's a weird precedent to set in a sport as old as boxing, where we sort of understand what happens when a fight gets effed up. But I'm whatever. For once, I'm not going to curse. A fight gets effed up because
Well, now I know that your daddy listens. You better not curse,
yeah.
okay? We good friends, all right?
He cares. But yeah, if I gets effed up because of a bad call, because of someone was messing with the ref, because Lawrence Cole ran to the corner and told Marquez what the scores were. Because I mean, think of all of the fights that were BS for some reason, that were botched, where someone got robbed clearly.
The man in the black hat.
Sure, I mean, and there were legitimate complaints, and they filed them, and they were completely ignored. For this to be the first one, it's sort of while I guess you could argue that, look, if this sport's ever going to change its ways, it's got to start somewhere. But to me, it's almost throwing salt in the wounds of every fighter who got jobbed before then.
Yeah.
And like we know what the drill is. All right, Lamont Roach knew what the drill is. He and Tank apparently knew what the drill was too, when he was telling him in the 11th to 12th rounds, while losing them convincingly, that you still ain't gonna win this fight on the cards, Chief. And having it play out exactly like that. It is not fair. Boxing is full of shit. Yeah. But it's something about changing. Like, also, the commissions are dumb as fuck. All right, it's unfortunate that everyone in power in boxing is either not to go completely Teddy Atlas here, but they're all compromised, perhaps, or
they have water in their basement.
They either have some conflicts of interest that we're well aware of that may or may not affect how they run the sport, or they're incompetent. And I think there's a healthy mix of both. And at the athletic commission level, it's the incompetence probably is equal, if not greater than the morality issues. And it's just like you're putting, if you allow commissions to start being like, well, we got shellacked on Twitter because of over this, we should change the result. No, don't open that box. Don't give these goons more power. They have too much already. It sucks. A rematch is a very good way to settle it.
All right, couple points to make from the people here. Alan W., thank you for your support. He's claiming the New York Commission is better than most, and I will say they're safer, or they're quicker to do things that fall in line of safety. I think because of the money they had to pay for the Magomed situation, for that heavyweight fight against Mike Perez, right? Like that, I think that led to, by the way, the Diaz Masvidal BMF fight ending when that bad cut happened on Nate. They're quick triggered now, which I get. But it was pretty disappointing. It was pretty damn disappointing to see them botch this so aggressively. I mean, it was Dan Raphael's reporting that those inside the, PBC Prime broadcast truck, they're like, yeah, we sent the replay on time, right? They have, I guess under New York rules, they have an additional round to watch the replay. And you've got Nysak saying, no, there was a problem. We didn't see it. The thing I hate about this is everyone screaming corruption. PBC paid everybody off. They fixed the fights. They wanted Tank to win. And in this case, it feels like nothing but a commission dropping the ball in this. So it sucks. It sucks a lot. Okay.
The ref dropped the ball. The commission also didn't, catch up and do its job. It was a failure on multiple levels. I would believe the television producers who are professionals and seem to get this right most of the time, wherever they work, in whatever jurisdiction, and have a strong record. That also just New York State Athletic Commission. While they do try, they're very responsive. I almost feel like that is what makes them. That's their weakness as a commission. They are too responsive. They screw stuff up, and then they panic and overreact to that and mess it up in the other direction until something goes wrong. They swing all the way back. They just can't, like, if they could do a steady, good job, that's all anyone would ask for. And of course, they can't.
No,
They
they can't.
fail
They won't.
consistently at that.
And people love when you use the word goon, by the way. And also, our missing persons report has been found. Robbie Rinaldi in the building.
Shout out to the Carpentry family.
Yes, definitely. I love all those bootleg Amish Carpentry boys that keep rolling out. They all have like horrible records. And yeah, there you go. Let's talk about the actual fight, if you will. Let's talk math. Let's talk boxing. Dude, in real time, unofficial scoring while I'm calling the fight, I kind of had 8, even 9 rounds in the favor of Roach. Now, I haven't rewatched it to rescore, and I didn't have an issue with the draw because so many of those rounds in the first half, the output was so low that if you're going to be in a fight where the output's low, and the output was that low because Roach was trying to force Tank to take the lead, which I like that strategic approach, those rounds are going to be hard to score. It turns out that all 3 judges and unofficial scorer Larry Hazard gave Tank 5 of the first 6 rounds, which is a lot. All in all, how do you think it should have been scored, and what impressed you the most about Lamont Roach Jr.?
I scored it 6-6, so I wasn't that surprised at how the first half of the fight was scored. Because like I just, to me, I couldn't give Lamont Roach that much credit for just being there, and not, and what Little Tank did seemed to have more effect in those rounds than Roach. It just, the first part of the fight, the first half of the fight, first 3 rounds, nothing happens. And then Tank sort of gets looks like he's starting to get into a rhythm and take a little bit of control over that fight. And I thought was winning pretty convincingly up until round 7. So it was, I could see, that basically that doesn't surprise me. I wasn't that impressed with what Roach did early in the fight. I do want to know what happened in the second half of that fight. Whether and if it was Lamont Roach living up to his prediction of, look, I know this guy, I know how to fight him. We spent a lot of time in the ring together, and I'm comfortable there with him, and I know I'm going to exceed expectations. Credit to him, he did all
just
those
like
things.
Garcia Haney, bro, just like it. Okay,
I guess, but they knew each other pretty well. I mean, that was not as big of a mismatch on paper.
Sure.
It was maybe a mismatch apparent because it seemed like, Ryan Garcia might not even make it into the ring that day, but credit to him, he took all of his juice and came in overweight and won a fight that no longer is on the record.
Shout out to Matt Brown. I met him Saturday night of Brunch Boxing. He's claiming that was a Brunch Boxing report. Are you claiming Dan Rayfield stole it? I don't know. I did hear it on the Dan Rayfield podcast, but a lot of reporting from Brunch Boxing of late on a lot of this stuff. So shout out to those guys. Also, we have Alan W saying, and thank you, Alan, for your support as always. In Texas, Roach would have lost the point, nay, disqualified for grazing his dreads with punches, which led to the oil going into his eyes.
I appreciate that analysis, Alan. And I think you're right. I mean, Texas is the most fun major jurisdiction to watch fights go completely haywire in.
Oh, Gil Van Hoy would, from the grave, would have scored that 12-0 for Tank. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
And just like the weird the Cole family dynasty over the Texas commission. It's all a very rich atmosphere down there.
Do you have more love for the Texas State Athletic Commission or Texas Monthly?
Hell, I'm gonna go. That's a tie for me, but
okay, all right. I'll take. I have a fight with a tie guy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So, Roach looked huge at lightweight, and I loved it. I loved the way that he stood in that pocket with Tank. He endured the middle rounds 4 through about 6, where I felt like Tank was attacking his body, and it looked like Tank had figured him out. The fact that Roach weathered that storm, stayed in that pocket, wobbled Tank on counter shots a couple times. It was overly impressive. He had such a breakout performance that Top Rank's trying to get him in there against Keyshawn. Shakur's trying to get a fight against him. I don't know if they look at him as some Kambosos level, easy guy.
Yes.
I hope not.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, he looked, but I got to ask you the real critical question, because I did write a column for CBS yesterday about this. I'm not taking away anything that Roach did, because it was that experience, that confidence, those intangibles that allowed him to swim in this end of the pool. But if we're going to act like that was the most buttoned up, dialed in Tank, we'd also be lying to ourselves. From the retirement talk pre-fight to being 90 minutes late for the weigh-in to arguing with Steve Willis during the first half twice and getting punched when he's not even looking, to the hair grease excuse, which might actually be valid, by the way, because Amanda Serrano canceled a fight last year doing the same exact thing.
Well, but
right. let me add on the way that he explained it and defended it as the crowd was booing. It was comical. It felt like he was unserious. It felt ultimately like either he was really embarrassed or it didn't really matter to him that this fight went the way it did. For a minus 1,600 betting favorite, how do you read the performance of Tank and how much maybe a lack of focus or lack of a killer instinct played into this?
I think it's the story of the fight. I think that in that second half when Lamont Roach realized that he could stand in there, basically toe to toe without moving that much and unload, start letting his hands go with the sort of the clipping right hooks and and his uppercut and just sort of sending straight shots right down the middle. I mean, it was like he realized, oh, Tank is not going to hurt me tonight, and I don't know why that is. And is that because of the confidence he brought in, the experience that Roach brought into that fight? Is it because there was something lacking in Tank's performance? Is it was his head just not in it from the get? I was surprised that even when the fight clearly started to turn severely late in the fight, that Tank didn't really mount much of a effort to come back to answer when Roach started looking like he was teeing off on him. That, I think it's one of those things where, okay, I understand that Tank runs hot and cold sometimes. He's had these performances where he's not you could tell he's not really taking his opponent that seriously, just looking for the knockout to come late or whenever, trusting that power, and that has worked for him to his credit. But in rounds, 9, 10, 11, when Roach is having real moments of success, Tank didn't even seem to be that. It didn't fire him up. It didn't make, it's asking too much to get a little bit of Manny Pacquiao, bang the gloves together and go.
I put my hand in the gloves of clitoris.
That's, we don't need that kind of fire, but just something to me, like, to answer back in those rounds. And there were a couple moments when Tank did it, but for the most part, he let Roach take over the back end of that fight.
And create Diddy, right?
No lube. Well, a little too much lube in the eyes is another classic Diddy problem. But it was weird to me, and it's gonna make it rightly should make folks question, what to make of Tank after this performance. Is he a different fighter somehow now? And until he does something to answer those concerns, because he just didn't seem, even all of a sudden having Lamont Roach take it to him didn't wake him up in this fight. No, and that's unusual.
So I wonder if it's exactly what you're saying, and if it ties into the comments he made pre-fight. And I just went back yesterday and listened to that interview he gave Canobio in January at the press conference, where he was like, I just can't wait to be out of the sport and not even think about it anymore. I mean, we don't usually hear Tank articulate too deep, and that was pretty damn deep. I couldn't tell if it was that or if after the failed knockdown call in round 9, when Tank suddenly felt what I thought was like his first sense of real urgency, and he brought it to Roach in the center of the ring, landed some bombs. But the fact that Roach not only did not go down, but that he was waiting and countered even bigger, I wonder if Tank just kind of was like, oh shit, this guy is more willing to go to places than I thought he would. Let me just kind of manage the rest of the fight. And as we heard from Roach,
you think that Tank may have had a moment where he's like, I'm a volunteer fireman. This guy's a real fireman. He runs into the fire. Yeah. Shout out to Teddy. I guess so. I wonder, and I actually doubt the veracity of Tank's hair grease excuse, just because it sounds crazy, but also he wasn't pawing at his eye. He didn't appear to, he wasn't blinking a lot. It looked like that happened about a round after a counter shot from Roach that caused clear swelling on that eye, and maybe he doesn't know. I haven't touched it, my man. You're correct. I did
you just call him
I'll
La
get to
Roche?
it when I get to it.
By the way, did you just refer to Lamont as La Roche? La Roche?
La Roche, baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a good. I like it. And also, I shout out to Cockroach from the Cosby Show.
Damn right, dude. I
yeah.
mean, that guy got laid a lot for being Cockroach, right?
I mean, you got
like
to,
without
right?
Cosbying it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let me get that powder in the drink.
I mean, if McLovin was working his angle, probably still is somewhere in downtown LA working that angle. You bet Cockroach is out there getting it inside the box. No, but I just to me, so it seemed like that he took that knee about a round after he got hit with a shot that caused a little swelling over that eye, and the lack of attention that he paid to his braids, to his hair getting in the way throughout the rest of the fight really does make me wonder what was going on. Like why, like I just maybe it wasn't the punch, but whatever it was, I'm not. Yeah, I see that too. That's a good call out to the great Papa Roach. Did they also sing the "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" song?
No,
Drowning Pool. Yeah, it's drowning. Anyway, I don't know these.
All right.
I don't know these weird things. I'm just a caveman.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I got to bring up what Matt from Brunch Boxing is offering here, because Tank did say this after the fight. Could Tank's lack of fire be due to not knowing what round it was? So Tank was more humble in the post-fight press conference when he said, look, I felt lost out there. I lost track of the rounds. He's like, that's why we need those ring girls back. And then he was laughing again, so it seemed insincere. But then he turned back and basically, and look, we heard him arguing in the corner with Calvin Ford and almost yelling at him multiple times. Dude, that plays into lack of focus, ultimately, doesn't it? Like, it just plays into, like, nonchalant, I'll figure it out and knock him out. But then when I can't, nonchalant, oh, don't worry, they'll screw you on the cards. Dude, it was just, again, fickle sport. You're only as good as your last fight. All stars have had off nights. In fact, Tank in 2017 against Fonseca, when he missed weight, on the Maymac card, had a extreme off night and really hasn't had another one since then. Do you think this scare will light the fire to get him back in track?
I think it's absolutely possible. I mean, it's not exactly the same situation, but you certainly, it's one of your favorite all-time boxing stories, the night that Roy had to summon RJ, and had to erase that DQ loss to Montel, and it was just,
I don't want to do that to him. I don't want to do it. He made me. I don't want to do that to him.
Look, I think and that's going to be the question that people have about Gervonta Davis going forward into his next fight from here, is that was this a one-off? Was it a bunch of factors? We said this last week. While I was poo-pooing the fight, which clearly I was wrong there, I did say it does. I acknowledge it has trap fight potential, and that I expected Tank to not really fall into the trap. Well, he either fell into the trap, or Lamont Roach is way better than anyone dreamed of before, other than Lamont Roach going into this fight, or Tank may have lost some part of that sharp edge that he needs to be a true pound for pound level fighter. But the talent is there. That was kind of obvious. The way that he cruised through the first half of that fight, I think that was almost why he was getting those rounds on judges' scorecards and on mine as well, where even though he wasn't doing a whole lot of work, you can make an argument he didn't do enough work to win them. He just seemed unbothered and in control. And with Roach not really pressing the tempo much either in those rounds, it's like, well, I don't really have a problem giving this to Tank. In any case, the talent is there. The not being it, whether it was because he didn't know the rounds, that means they didn't take the fight that seriously. If they're not telling him, hey, round 6, round 7, round 8, hey, do something here. You're not falling behind, but you're letting him catch up. You're letting him into the fight. You're giving him confidence.
You better fucking get inside on him now. Right?
Well, I don't think that sort of Joe Goosen intervention clearly wasn't necessary quite yet. But it would have, so whatever it was, it didn't add up to a good performance from him. I don't really care what he said after the fight. That what is he supposed? I guess like that he didn't seem to be taking it seriously. I mean, unless you're going to sit here and seriously tell me that you have VO face lube concerns about Gervonta Davis, let him. I mean, he's always been is that one of your weird like full body
MK Jerkins, baby? Okay, it was a limited time offering. All right,
yeah. I'm sorry I missed it. But no, if unless you, I guess Tank to me, he's never seemed like he's been super comfortable in media interviews, right? I mean, he'll have these moments where he lights up and says something really entertaining, but it's like a little bit of not trusting the media, I think, a little bit of maybe being naturally shy in those kind of situations. The big personality that I think we can tell is out there doesn't always come out in those situations. And the fact that he acted awkwardly and didn't handle the moment great when you spoke to him after the fight, I'm not going to rush to the conclusion that, oh, that's the sign that there's something wrong with this fighter. I do think there's pressure on him now in his next performance, whether it is an immediate rematch with Lamont Roach, which I think we would be pretty excited to see at this point. It was a fun fight down the second half of that thing where Roach is coming back and Tank has moments, but isn't quite answering the call like that. Like if they pick up from there and maybe fight at a faster pace, it could be a really exciting rematch and one where Tank has a real statement to make. Is he still in? Does he still want this like he did, early in his career? And it makes you wonder a little bit, wow, he's been the most sort of successful business story of United States boxing in the past 5 to 10 years, basically, and what right up there, number like 1A almost to Canelo in recent years as a draw in North America. He also has he's managed his career in the business way, where he has taken some light touches at times. He is, and when he had to rise to the occasion, he has against, say, Ryan Garcia, against maybe even early on, we probably didn't give him. What's that?
Ryan Garcia against Luke Campbell.
No, I'm talking about Tank. I'm talking about Tank.
I know.
Ryan Garcia.
No, he rose against Barrios.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes. Yeah.
He kind of rose against Campbell with the injured hand.
we didn't know Pedraza went on to do some impressive things after losing to Tank. Anyway, so he has the legit wins, but also has had these nights where he just hasn't felt the need to look that good. Or he knew he was going to get the guy out of there eventually because he could. You wonder how that starts to, if that dulls a fighter's edge over the course of time. And, he's sort of, this fight felt like another one of these sort of stay busy nights where, Tank's going to get a great crowd out. It's going to be a good show. He's going to show maybe a little vulnerability, but, warm up and take over the fight. And this time it didn't happen. And is that because, he hasn't, is it because he hasn't tested himself enough throughout his career? I don't know, man. But, but he can't say that like that concern is out there because it's been allowed to develop.
I'm with you on that. I do wonder a few things. I wonder if Steve Willis, because we're seeing this a lot in MMA. I know you don't watch the skinheads, but eye pokes are out of control right now in elite MMA. And the referees are not warning aggressively enough. They're not taking away points. They're basically trying to stay out of the story of the fight. But in this case, if that was the case for Steve Willis, thinking, okay, yeah, it should have been a knockdown, but we all know he probably wasn't hurt, which is illegal and the wrong move. But maybe in his mind, he's thinking, I don't want to be the story. I don't want to add a point deduction in that doesn't really belong in the fight. But as we found out, because of that being a real knockdown and that point swing would have given Roach the win, you then automatically become, by trying to not become the story, you become the story. So I don't know if that is necessarily true. And it plays into the finest roofer and the realest in all of Louisville. Saul, man, MK for life here, saying, Rafe, all in all, was this some boxing bullshit or was this boxing politics in the end?
What is the difference is I guess my question there.
The latter is calculated. The former is inept.
Look, I think it's boxing BS, but also boxing BS never, ever, ever, ever. You're look in writing or whatever journalism. We're trained to never say these, never use these, words like never, because there's always an exception. But geez, I can't think of a single time when boxing BS, just the weird lightning strike of incompetence, favors the huge underdog who is also a not even close to the cash cow for the sport that the favorite is, as was the case in this matchup. You can't, of course, anything that went wrong in this fight in terms of the bad calls, the bad scores, if anything bad was going to happen along those lines, it was gonna be in the favor of the house fighter, of one of the biggest stars in the sports. That's how it works. And I appreciated what your man Luke said on morning I always say morning combat the other day.
You watched it. Wow, I love this. Yes.
Well, just like when how he pointed out that like the thing that really sucks is you have the other side of these stories is there's always a B-side fighter who put in the performance of his life on the most important night of his career.
Rose to the occasion against Rolly, dude.
Sure. I mean, Unieski Gonzalez against Jean Pascal. Yeah. They're like, and when they get screwed like that, they are never going to get the chance just like that again. The stars don't necessarily align twice like that. And so maybe you get a rematch. Maybe you say, well, the guy still won in some ways because he's going to get more chances in other big fights. But yes, that's because he's going to get more. But that, against other top opponents who now see value in getting that name on their resume and probably are going to be favored against him too. And he's still going to be taking the smaller side of the paycheck to fight any of them. It's not a bad thing for his career, but it's not the way it should have worked out. And it sucks to see that happen.
Indeed. Shout out to Poolside JVD here. All quality blokes welcome on this chat. I do wonder long term if this is a good thing for PBC, because the rematch, there's going to be some hype and buzz around it. It's hot, right? There's the corruption angle. There's the Roach overachieving angle. There's a lot of things going on. There's the PBC day to day. Are we surviving? Are we keeping away from Saudi angle? There's a lot going on here. Tank is, the biggest star that isn't willing to join Team Turkey and be with he is him
him excellency.
Yeah, actually, Lamont Roach told me he is him, but we know he is running the sport. I don't know. Maybe it will be. Maybe this, if Tank comes back and knocks him out and suddenly we're talking about Lomachenko next and Shakur after it, I don't know. Maybe this helps them, but it doesn't help the sport to have this BS. I'm glad Roach gets the rematch. I'm glad there's no other chicanery, because immediately after the fight, Tank was talking about saying like, yeah, we'll rematch, but it'll be next year, even though he said he's going to retire after this year, because apparently he was going to. No, Tank claims he was going to announce a fight after the victory, and that the fighter was in his locker room before the fight. The only three men in the building, like I said on MK, that fit that description were Pitbull Cruz, Shakur Stevenson, and Jake Paul. So I don't even know if one of those weird Jake Paul things is even possible, but they are pretty far apart in weight. Not that any of us would even want that fight or whatever.
Why is it impossible? You just set a catch weight and let it happen.
Yeah, I guess we did Floyd Logan once, right? It wasn't real though, right? It wasn't real.
It's not going to be real when this happens either. I mean, someone will sanction it because there's money behind it, but it's
all right. Bird call goes out to all the people that got here early. And where was Natter? Natter saying Roach should be a 2-time champion and on his way to stardom. I agree. He earned it. I thought he won more rounds. I thought he got screwed. Blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about what the people really want to talk about. Art LeBeau, baby. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Rest in peace, the
legend. In remix is not wrong. Rematches seem to be inevitable on the highest level. We're seeing the most amount of rematch clause use that we've ever seen. I think we're also seeing the most amount in the bigger fights of them signing 2-fight deals ahead of time, right? So it's just sort of where the sport is at right now. Quickly here, Rafe, what'd you think of the undercard? Who jumped out at you? Because I had a phoner for what Gary Antoine Russell did for 12 rounds to El Rayo, but I don't know if you second that emotion,
I
if
do.
you watched it, or
I
if you
watched
even
it.
give a damn. All right.
I kind of give a damn, but having watched it, I agree. I mean, he was really impressive. I mean, I think just the motor he showed, to be able to, put on that sort of pressure and smart pressure and accurate combination punching for, that was just overwhelming Ryo at times. Who's a guy who knows how to box and who, is a good counter puncher, and just wasn't able to keep up with everything, like that Gary Antoine Russell was able to put on him. It was a really just sort of comprehensive performance from him.
Oh my God. And we were
Super
saying
impressive.
beforehand, like, how does he get a title shot when he just lost a split decision in a title fight one fight
Right.
ago? And now I'm like, yo, G.A. Russell is the class of 140. He is now after that.
I mean, look, it's one night, right? I think consistency matters. You should be like, you would like to see him do that a few times more in a row before you.
Not everybody fought before that. Okay.
No, look, it's one of those things where we're not going to see. It's not crazy to jump to that conclusion, because he, like, that kind of performance would be dangerous, and make him. I mean, it would be hard. It's hard to imagine anybody having an easy night against that version of Gary Antoine Russell. And the way that they treat the sport, there's no reason to think that he won't be some similar version of that fighter going forward. They're the Brussels, the box. I mean, it was you guys talked about it on the broadcast nonstop. The fighting family, the discipline, the commitment to the sport that is runs through the generations for them. So,
and the full mask, dude, the full mask Enswell is awesome.
Gary Russell used to have that also in his fights. I mean, they're pretty cool. They clearly have someone making custom ones. I wonder. It must be as effective as just a smaller one that you can just maneuver around there. Otherwise, they wouldn't use it. But because it looks different, you're like, is that as good? Is it as effective in controlling swelling to just put the full mask on over? Also, is it on ice the whole time? Is that how they keep? Do they keep it going? Anyway, I would read about that, about how that end swell works, and about the whoever the craftsman that casts them for them, because they're pretty cool. I mean,
They're really cool. Let me pause Gary Russell for 1 second. Hear from Arturo, our buddy from London. He says he honestly feels like Tank finally got his comeuppance for not having an active for his output, dude. He's doing the Canelo thing where he stays so efficient. He doesn't waste shots, or maybe the prime Jermell Charlo thing. He had a style similar to that. We were arguing if that would catch up to him. Maybe this, but I don't think this is true, because the judges gave him 5 of the first 6 rounds where there was nothing going on. So he didn't get penalized for that, right?
Well, the judges didn't penalize him for that. But when Lamont Roach got some momentum going in that sport, in that fight, and started letting his combinations go, let his hands go, realized that Tank was not going to answer enough, to win those rounds back in the second half of the fight, and trusted his own defense and ability to weather whatever Tank did throw at him, when he decided to let go, and was right. He bet right on that. That's why the fight became close. Like, Tank was cruising and looked like, and we're through the first half of that fight. And all of a sudden it switched, and he never, Lamont Roach found another gear, and Tank didn't seem to.
That's true. And one more, and thank you for Ian for jumping in and supporting the podcast. He wants to know if there's any precedent for the take a knee without a point deduction move that Tank pulled. He says, I can't remember. So we remembered a million times where people have taken voluntary knees and they're always knockdowns. I mean, you could take a knee if you get shoved, right? Like, there's like Roach took, he got pushed down to a knee in this fight. That's different. Can you ever imagine a scenario where a voluntary knee did not? Do you remember anything like that?
There are some. I'm thinking. I can't remember. So I mean, it reminds me of some of these like super long, generous counts that we've seen over the years. What was the issue in that what's his name, Layman Brewster fight against Kresnicki? I forget which Kresnicki, but it was the heavyweight Kresnicki. Oh my God, it is a wild one. It was I think it was Rafael Ramos was the referee. And it was either an insane long count, or the ref just completely waved off a clear knockdown that Layman Brewster scored. And it looked like they were trying to rob him, and Brewster stopped the opponent and was able to, it ended that way. But it was a dicey moment. Let me see. I'll look it up.
Poolside JVD saying, how busy would Gary Russell like to be? Apparently very busy in the ring. He nearly threw 1,000 punches out there. It was an absolutely beautiful performance. But yeah, back to that knee situation. I don't remember it. That's why it was such an outrage in it not being called. So
so they gave credit that Layman Brewster knocked down Luan Kresnicki, not to be confused with his brother Robin. And
for all you hardcores.
Oh yeah, I still got that card. The referee gave him a 17-second count.
Yeah. By the way, the Hebrew Hammer Cletus Selden has been added to that Sunday, March 16th, St. Patrick's Day card at the Garden with Callum Walsh. Remember, he stopped old ass Zab Judah that time in the late rounds.
Who is he supposed to fight? Wow, why is he still around?
Some guy. I have a fight with some Irish guy. Let's hear from Matt Borgerson, who's here to support the show. Back to Antoine Russell. He says Gary is very busy. Mannix would enjoy that, but lacks understanding on how not to smother his work. Pure boxers will outbox him. He needs to manage distance better. Is that a fair criticism in your eyes? Because Russell did take shots from El Rayo. He just walked right through them like they weren't there. Do you think he was smothering his ish? I mean, it was virtuoso. I'm not here to criticize.
Look, I see the point. I think there were, so on one hand, I almost interpreted it differently. I thought that I was impressed that while he was putting on so much pressure, he still seemed to be, so impressively accurate for a lot, and despite getting so close and often almost chest to chest, and still finding ways to land. But this flip side of that, which I think Matt is kind of right about, is by doing that, even if he's still managing to get some contact on those shots, he probably is reducing their efficacy, right? I mean, he's not getting as much leverage on them. Not the distance he's not gonna connect at the perfect point when they have the most momentum. So I was on one hand, I guess, impressed by the way he was able to still be effective while sort of looking like he was in position to smother his work. But
he smothered his opponent's work. Rayo couldn't get off,
Right. Hey, look, well, I mean, I think what Matt's criticism might be right is that, like, who was a fighter who did a even more sort of frantic, scary ass version of that style. You know who I'm talking about. I love his daddy. You love his daddy. We're good friends. Sean Porter. And he, what happened when Sean Porter fought the pure boxers? They controlled distance better. They kept him on the porch where they could do their damage for enough of the fights, and kept Sean Porter from getting into their asses. And
don't forget, Ugas in round 12 dropped Porter to a knee, but Jack Reese, in between selling condos, was missed that call and cost Ugas that win. # never forget. All right, we're going deep into the show, and we got a lot more to get into. Let me clean up a couple questions from the people here. Jamie Aguilar wants to know, Rafe, how would the late Chuck Giampa have weighed in on the Tank situation?
I'm very happy that we asked that question, because I think he would take you inside the mind of a boxing judge. Tonight he would have taken you inside.
It's your judge. It's your judge.
Oh shit.
Chuck, we're live. Okay.
Shout out to Al Bernstein in that moment.
Yes.
And thank you very much, Chuck Giampa. All right.
All right. We'll never hear from you again. Sorry about that. And also, Lazy Bed, he might not be wrong. The last voluntary knee he took led to a failed marriage. So you could say he was the one that was penalized.
But guys, if you take enough voluntary knees, that might keep your marriage together, if you know what I'm saying.
Indeed. Also, did you see Ellie Seckback came out on Twitter and criticized Lamont Roach for getting a lawyer involved, although this isn't necessarily similar to Haney suing Garcia. And now the two of them are going back and forth, and Roach is like, yo, I'll see you. Okay. That was interesting. Reporting.
How has this become a legal dispute so far?
I think it's just the fact that he has a lawyer filing a petition for an appeal. There's no suing or anything as far as
with the commission.
Yeah, I unless I've misread something, I don't remember seeing that there's like a
that's
lawsuit.
Just going like that is hiring a professional to write the document that you take to that you send in to formally file your appeal. Like would Ellie rather Lamont like write it on a notepad and hand it to someone? Like anyway, I think in this case that does not feel anything like Devin Haney suing Ryan Garcia for assault and whatever else.
Yeah, I wish Nico Macias got neck. I wish.
Now that's a guy who knows how to smother his work. I mean, like, how many? I hope that they didn't have gerbils or rabbits out there as pets growing up in Temecula. Well, I don't mean like the Richard Gere style.
Yeah, I just mean
he would have smothered them with love so fast, right? I mean, those things are not breathing for more than 30 seconds.
Now, who do you think poolside JVD is? Is that Quality Bloke in the State of Combat universe?
Yes, yeah, I would believe so.
Okay, we love that guy from Oklahoma, right? We do.
I don't know. I mean, he's don't dox people, man.
Oh, sorry. All right, we love that guy from overseas. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, let's quickly get out of this with Alberto Puello hung on to his world title by split decision over Sandor Martin. Close fight. It actually had pockets of action which nobody expected. And dude, I felt like Martin got like softly robbed. Even though I'm into a Gary Antoine Russell Puello unification rematch, like, yeah, that's a good fight for PBC. I'm all in. But dude, Sandor, like in the Teo fight, he kind of got wronged, right?
I'm never gonna feel bad for Sandor Martin getting robbed. Like he deserves to get robbed. This is like, because if you let that guy get one of these wins, then we're gonna have to watch him again in a bigger fight, and he's gonna ruin that fight too. All right, so Sandor Martin. Congratulations. Take you've done a great job of competing with a lot of very good fighters and making them look like they had one of their worst nights in their careers. And you've never managed to put any distance between yourself and them while doing it. You are a tough as hell fighter to get out of there, to deal with in the ring. You make everybody look bad, and you deserve a lot of credit for that. But I don't. Because I don't want to see him get too much higher in the game than he already is at. Because then you just got to watch more of him.
I'm with you. Hank Williams IV throwing shots at Ellie here, and I understand. I just want to put on the record. I get that Ellie Sekbeck has said and done things. Remember his war with Freddie Roach, that people get on him and don't like him. Ellie's like the nicest guy in real life. Have you had that experience? I genuinely enjoy Ellie Sekbeck's company and conversation in real life.
I would second that. I've not had as much, of a heart and so many heart-to-heart, tip-to-tip moments with Ellie as you have, but still, he's always been cool with me. I didn't know he had so many trophies, so many journalism trophies,
many an Emmy, many.
What are those things, man?
I don't know, but
Carson Jones dead?
Poolside Bloke is right. No, it happened. You didn't see that a couple days ago at age 38.
The Kell Brook dude.
Yeah, the Kell Brook dude. So I'm glad that Poolside Bloke brought this up, because we got a lot of respect for people exactly like Carson Jones, who have come in against elite guys and either upset them or made it close and made a name for themselves and got more fights because of that. RIP, man. Hate to hear that. Hate to see that.
Was it Saturday night? Did he see what happened and have like a flashback and just?
Oh, how dare you? I mean, I thought my Dwight Ritchie jokes were enough over the years. How dare you? All right. Yeah. There you go.
Man, what happened? I'm sorry, Carson. Shit.
Yeah. There it is. So
great fight. That Kell Brook fight is a great one. That first one. Whew.
You know what? I forgot two fights ever happened the other day, and now I want to go rewatch them. Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton 1 and 2.
Very good fights.
Very good fights. Yeah, I forgot those ever happened until somebody mentioned them. Also, we did see the Yoenis Tejas, the 154 from Cuba. Dude, that guy's good. I know J-Rock's passed it, and he tried his best to hang in there. I think you could put that dude in a title fight soon.
Well,
am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I don't know that J-Rock is necessarily the last step, like the final gatekeeper you want to test yourself against at this point. You might want someone a little fresher, but still, yeah, guy looks good.
Also, Jarrett Swift Hurd comes up empty against Johan Gonzalez, officially retires in the ring. I did the really weird thing of interviewing the loser of the fight, but not the winner due to time constraints. I was happy Swift got to say his piece. I have nothing but love for Jarrett Swift Hurd. He had a style that was never going to last long. Remember, he didn't have a long amateur career. He came to the sport late. He maximized the crap out of things. Weight bully or not at 54, he made fun ass fights and he was a monster. I say, go rest easy in retirement here, Swift. You got a lot of life ahead of you. You gave us a lot. I mean, tell me I'm crazy. I love that. I love the Swift hat on the chest. I always enjoyed that guy, especially the fact that he lived with his parents, Algeri style. Okay. And RIP Algeri's mom, by the way, she passed recently to cancer. Shout out to the Algeri family.
Indeed. Shout out to Chris. Condolences. Look, Jarrett Hurd had a nice career, fun when he was in the championship mix there, really at the height, and he peaked at the right time when PBC was truly running the sport in a lot of ways, when they were having the big nights on broadcast television, and he was right there. I mean, he had that big win against Erislandy Lara in such a tight fight. I mean, he got probably one of the last great nights or very good nights of Austin Trout's career, and brought out the best in some of these other guys. It was like, fun fighter. It doesn't always last that long for that style, but he was fun.
You know what I kind of wish they had done? And I actually, in the production meeting the day before the fight, I asked Steven Espinosa, I said, look, Steven, I'm an old school PBC, like day one guy. If Swift and J-Rock win, can they just rematch each other? And he's like, I don't hate that. But then they both lost and they're probably going to both retire. Maybe this fits better in my washed welters contender season 6 idea, but we'll see what happens.
Can you get HE and TKO and DW to do a washed welter series or a washed super welter series? I mean, why not? That's a more fun idea than what they're currently planning.
Well, that's a good transition. We're going to get into that in about 6 seconds. Wanted to mention Subriel Matias on DAZN, won another get well in Puerto Rico. He's 22-2 with 22 KOs and probably will be back in a 140 title fight again. So I've always been a big Matias guy. He was a Nomaschenko type dude for a while, man, just making people just be like, I'm done. That's it. Hurd versus J-Rock was on the Brown Sugar Network. Yes, who could forget that? No, that was on Fox, I believe, right? I mean, that was great. I think I hosted the PBC Kate to Kate for that. And also, Lazy Bed. No, I was saying Ioannis Tellez, not Ioannis Tatas, although, All right, here we go. The transition is perfect. The news broke this morning. We've been teasing it forever, trying to figure out, right, through Dana White's cryptic words, what this is. And I got to be honest, even though they officially signed the deal, sent out the press release today, I actually still don't know exactly what this is. But here's the deal. TKO, which owns UFC, WWE, they are getting into boxing officially, teaming up with Turkey Al-Sheikh, Saudi Arabia, and their entertainment property, Sayla, on what they're calling a new boxing promotion that will be run by Dana White and WWE head Nick Khan, former CAA super agent, a former Manny Pacquiao manager, and many other things. So we don't know a ton. Mark Shapiro, who's the president and COO of TKO, did say on an earnings call a week ago something to the idea that TKO would handle 2 major Turkey Al-Sheikh pay-per-views per year. And the rumor is that this whole thing's going to kick off in September with Bud Crawford Canelo at Allegiant Stadium. And then we're assuming, based on the little details we got, that the rest of the time they wouldn't be a league so much as, or a promotion so much as like a league possibly for younger prospects who I would guess aren't signed to major promoters. And it maybe would be similar to the UFC sweatshop model with Dana White's Contender Series of lowering the pay, putting everybody through the UFC system. Maybe for the long term, that's how they're going to take over boxing. I don't really know, though, Rafe, what this means for like promoters that already work with Turkey, like Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Oscar De La Hoya, unless we're referencing the times that TKO and Dana White and UFC are going to run Turkey's big pay-per-views. Then in that case, he really would be the new HBO, as he said. The only other points from the press release that are of note here is It will be a highly structured system to develop new talent from around the world, including athletes, combines, and academies. The access for all boxers in this new promotion or league will have to the UFC's Performance Institute with locations in Vegas, Mexico City, and Shanghai. And TKO's production, media, and promotional expertise will deliver both in-arena experiences and top-tier, state-of-the-art broadcasts around the world. Once again, I don't really know exactly what that is. What the hell do you think this is? Do you think this will work? And is Simone Tate right? It just feels like the UFC coming into boxing using Turkey's money and trying to put the UFC model into boxing. Can that work, Rafe, with all these gunslingers sitting around that are used to running their own show?
I doubt any of them will fall for it unless they are highly incentivized. And the whole point, I think, would be to the whole point of creating that league, if it is some sort of Trojan horse to take over boxing or get the hooks in to begin that transformation of the sport. It's hard to, I don't see how, whether it's Top Rank, whether it's Top Rank, whether it's PBC, whether it's the UK Queensberry Matchroom folks, like or what Zanfer Boxing in Mexico, all you name it, Yvon Michel GYM up in Montreal, all of those major promoters in North America and in the UK and then the rest of the world.
Are you going to include Camille Estefan of Eye of the Tiger, who repped David Lemieux, or no?
Hell yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
Anyway, why would they give away their business or give away this control to these upstarts unless they're basically being bought out? And I'm sure, look, I mean, as Jim Lampley will tell us, everybody's got a price, and perhaps HE, His Excellency, will put up enough money to buy out a number of these parties, or maybe just the smaller ones. Maybe he'll just be buying out like Joe DeGuardia, Artie Palulo levels.
Well, dude, can I interrupt that thought and say this? Saudi put $1 billion into DAZN, and it felt like they were the home of boxing. All the reporting or rumors I'm hearing is that this TKO league will not air on DAZN. So do you think, and I'm just guessing here, that the pre-existing promoters who have deals with DAZN, Oscar, Eddie, Frank, are they just going to keep their own series on DAZN, but then when their fighters get to the highest, Riyadh Cizn levels, they'll fight on Dana White as the new HBO, or as Poolside Bloke says, the new HE-BO, because he is going to be involved in this in a big way. So, like, in that regard, if they're really looking at this as TKO is the new HBO, then you wouldn't have to upset those promoters per se, or DAZN necessarily, because they'd still be getting the regular fights.
Right, because it wouldn't be disrupting the way that the business of boxing works at all. It would just be creating a new, or moving these handful of the biggest events, or what could become a plurality or majority of the biggest events, to this other platform where everyone will pay their pay-per-view money and watch it there, but still the sport will be organized and develop along the similar ways. I think that what will happen with this series is it'll be smaller in scope and in ambition than they're making it sound, and they probably know that, and that's probably fine. I think that a prospect series, to the extent that it puts more boxing out there for people to watch, like people, and maybe develops a couple of fighters who go on to fight for, maybe win championships, great. It will be interesting to see how the established promoters, whether they work with HE or not, treat this thing. Will they send, if they if Matchroom or Queensberry signs guys straight off of the GB team, right? Whoever the next Ben Whitaker is, or Caroline Dubois, like they're Olympians. Will they put their Olympians and risk them in these kind of podunk small beans?
I don't
events?
know. And
does Turkey have enough leverage to make them do that, or would they say, look, we're keeping the gems over here, even if it means moving them faster? even if that means throwing them into Riyadh season cards before they're ready, because we don't want to give away our future stars to these UFC dumbasses over here on the other side. Like, you can't have that. You want my Jazza Dickens or whoever, you want my plasterers, you can have as many of them as you want. But we're not giving you the creme de la creme here. We'll take
it's like, guys, you want to put my dicks inside her? Yeah, I do actually. Right.
So I guess it'll be interesting to see how a series like that interacts with the sport as it, the current structure of boxing, and how promoters, view it as is it a good place to develop your fighters, or is it a place where you're risking their overall, you're only, if it's actually a tournament, only one of them is going to be there at the end, right? You're risking their O's in some way. And it'd be interesting to see how the rest of the business adjusts to it.
Well, luckily they have O's in different area
codes. Yes.
I don't know what this means for the WBC Suleiman prospect tournament that's supposed to take place over like 8 divisions. If that's in line with this, I don't know. Quick note here from Rob R. Inaldi, who says boxing scene said there's rumors that Canelo Bud could land on Netflix. So maybe that does play in with what Mark Shapiro of TKO is saying. The 2 super premium events per year, like in theory, the 2 biggest fights you can make. Maybe that's what TKO is handling through partnerships with Netflix. I'm sure there's other suitors involved potentially right now too. Wild stuff, but here's a potential wrinkle in this.
Put that series on Netflix. I'd watch it there. I damn sure ain't doing is subscribing to Fight Pass for that.
I personally believe that prospect series, if it's going to be like a league or a reality show, I believe that would go to ESPN Plus, because ESPN Plus it seems like they're getting out of the top ranked business and they're clearing the deck for something, right?
For more UFC, yeah.
But let me introduce this wrinkle. There actually was a video after the signing this morning of Turkey and Dana. And in that video, Dana teases, he said, no longer will you have to deal with 3 letters in front of a championship. And then Turkey's like, yeah, I agree with him completely. And Dana's like, finally, the best will fight the best, and you will have no doubt who the champion is. That wrinkle changes what we thought we just figured this out to be, in my opinion, because that leads me to believe the reason why Turkey bought Ring Mag, outside of, restoring it to glory, seems to be to get the lineal Ring Magazine Championship as the belt, in my opinion.
I thought it was just to acquire the best hosting talent in boxing.
Shout out to Dougie Fresh over there yesterday.
Well, I didn't watch that press conference. What happened?
Yeah, right. So I want to say, like, that leads me to believe this could be like, okay, because remember, Turkey put millions in the pockets of all the 4 major sanctioning bodies as sponsorship fees, right? To be able to tell them what to do. Maybe this means we're going to have a singular champion. But how does Dana White and TKO implement that unless they actually have a league that encompasses the whole sport? Right?
Well, yeah. Let me interpret Dana's comments for you. He's full of shit right now. There's no reason to believe that none of the actions that they've taken thus far seem to suggest that they have gotten to a point where they could consolidate the sport enough to make real best versus the best fights happen all the time just because they say so. Right now, what have they announced? They've announced plans to create a prospect league filled with developmental fighters that we don't know who they are yet. We don't even know if they're blue chip prospects, if they are no chip prospects, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I do think that the bright blue chippers aren't going to be in this. It just doesn't seem like you would throw them in there. Even if you have an existing relationship with HE, the Turkey master, and and he's leaning on you to do it, you probably find a way to resist and say, no, I'll give you this other guy instead who I don't care as much about. Now, maybe Turkey's got the money and the choppers perhaps to put enough pressure on the promoters he works with to just go for it and do what he says. But I guess that remains to be seen. There's no indication that we will be making true best versus the best without, I guess they bought a belt that has some history that they can start giving to people, but that doesn't mean, like, if they start giving it to people, part of the value of the Ring Magazine belt is they've done a good job of protecting its status as something that goes to the best fighters or nearly the best fighters. Usually not until someone has a claim on being the unified or lineal champion in a division. They've really protected that, and it's been and that's what makes it valuable. If you start giving it to the winner of this tournament with 8 dudes, like 4 Saudi dudes, 4 dudes from Dubai, and 8 plasterers from Tottenham,
Ireland, dude, they got a gold mine of average white guys in Ireland.
If you start giving it to the winner of that, then it's not like people are going to be fooled by that. Oh, he's the Ring Magazine champion. I mean, look, it's the internet and it's boxing media. Someone out there will be like, that belt matters, but that's just because they're getting paid to. Shout out Ariel. I don't know what to say. Like it's like most people who consume the sport like on an honest level are just gonna look at this and be like, okay, like you can call them whatever you want, but they did not win that thing yet.
I just can't believe that time that David Avila still had Robert Guerrero in his top 10 pound for pound after the Floyd
You're
loss.
more upset about that than almost anything that's ever happened in boxing. Like,
the only thing I'm more upset about is when Rafael had Klitschko #1 pound for pound after Floyd retired, and not.
I think the one I will never get over is Rafael and I think it was Pug being the only people on press row who scored
Wilder Fury 1.
Yeah, scored Wilder Fury 1 as what for Wilder. And then they would always say it was like reactions on press row were mixed. I was like, no, look, everyone's scorecard has Fury winning that except you. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, let's hit a little bit of ridiculousness before we get into our final major topic, which is the Times Square press conference that was supposed to be big yesterday, but was kind of weird in the end. Alan W., thank you, as always, for supporting this here show and channel. Rafe better be tossing them salads with balsamic vinaigrette all over the face. Wow, Alan.
I do make a good balsamic, Alan. I will give you that.
Yeah, wow, holy crap, indeed. Let's see what else we got in the pay ranks here. Jamie Aguilar, again, thank you for supporting here. Does Rafe care about Keith One-Time Thurman's comeback coming up? I believe it's a week from today, Down Under against white guy Brock Jarvis.
All of the Down Under action is fun. Like something funny happens every time. It's always worth waking up to see those Australia fights, because they're either going to rob someone, or it's like they're clearly setting up poor old Roy to get beat up by Danny Jones or whatever Danny something he was. And
well, be careful. It was Danny's night, to be fair, right? It was
or
Danny Green.
Oh, Danny Green, thank you. Or it's or it's a classic war between the husk of Jeff Horn and the husk of the male stripper. And it's like something funny is going to happen, and Keith Thurman brings the unintentional comedy everywhere he goes. This guy he's fighting looks like a complete jobber. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how far Keith Thurman has fallen off. Clearly pretty far if he's taking this fight. But is it just to set up he wins and then he gets to fight Tim Kazoo?
Yes, so Tim Kazoo is fighting Joey Spencer.
That is outrageous. Shout out to Livonia, Michigan. How did Joey Spencer get to come back in that fight?
In early April, I believe that will end up airing on regular Prime Video. I think they're trying to figure out the logistics now. And then the winners would face off in a non-PBC pay-per-view this summer, in theory. So we'll see if that happens. And Alan W. had one more beautiful parting shot saying, going for some Italian with the ladies. Wow, I'll get after that ish. Got something nice for my boy Reggie, homeless cat checking out, and then, which I appreciate the hell out of your support for that cat. And Andrew Nant said the same thing. Shout out JBR, Reggie Report, BC, great show. So yeah, real quick, I actually just got back from the vet this morning, and Reggie had his post-surgery checkup, and he's 1,000,000% back, doing great, eating, playing, out of control. He's back.
Outstanding.
The problem is older sister Zoe, who's 8.5, had to be collapsed yesterday and had to be rushed to the emergency hospital, where she's there now. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge right now. It's a challenge. So
I will send my horse to the war.
Thank you. Thank you. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. So we're praying for that. Beautiful.
I am too. I'm sorry. It's like dealing with old aging and sick pets is really it's hard because you love them, you're trying to do what's right by them. Every time they have to go to any sort of appointment, it's just like a black hole of money. You're getting, it's really hard.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
Oh yeah.
you
I'm
see
I'm
where it
I'm in
goes.
deep already on the
Uh,
last 24 hours. Yes, yes. Yes, but I would do it in a heartbeat again. Let's close with this big topic. It was the Times Square press conference in Times Square at the Palladium yesterday. Dougie Fisher of Ring Magazine was the host. He was seemingly heavily maligned. I think the biggest issue was this. And I've always gotten along great with Dougie, love his work, all that stuff. This was supposed to be a shit show. You had some of the craziest people ever. So if you are not being aware of this, May 2nd, Friday, the first of 3 consecutive nights of Cinco de Mayo weekend boxing content, including Canelo and maybe Inoue on Sunday, we're going to get Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero in the main event at welterweight, Devin Haney against Jose Ramirez in the co-main at welterweight, and Teofimo going to have that mandatory fight against Arnold Barbosa Jr. for his 140 belt.
Wait, that's the headliner, right?
No, the headliner is Raw Guy and Rolly.
That's
Just
weird.
I
Okay.
would assume for star power. So you have them on the dais along with Brad Jacobs of Top Rank, Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya, Rick Reno, the COO now of Ring. Shout out to Rick Reno for his work up there. And everyone expected that these crazy guys who hate each other, considering that Ryan's not only fighting Rolly, he expects to win and fight Haney in the fall, and then expects to win and fight Teo after that. And they've already announced this is the plan. So much for marinating Juan Ma versus Gamboa. They got like a 3-fight plan laid out for Rye Guy, but we never got, outside of Teofimo and a little bit from Barbosa, we didn't get magic. We didn't get trash talk. We didn't get stirring the pot. And Teo even complained the whole time, and we'll have a whole section on Teo in a second on his.
Can't wait.
But I want to know if you saw it, what you thought of Dougie's performance. I think Dougie was just too cerebral and journalistic in his approach when this was going to be more about, dude, let's get these guys just being crazy and get, because think about it. In Times Square, this is going to be a crazy event, no matter what. And I don't care what anybody says. I want to see all 3 of these fights badly. Like, I'm in on this card. It's weird and maybe unnecessary, but I love this slop. How do you read what took place yesterday?
So I just watched clips. I was not watching this whole thing beginning to end. I did observe some of the criticism of Dougie Fisher. I think that it's just let's be kind on this time, or give him a little bit of a pass on this time around. This is the reason.
Articulate. No,
I don't look. He's not a good host. You know what? I'm not a good host either. There's a reason that like Brian Campbell has a YouTube channel and is on TV calling PBC fights, and I am a writer. And Brian is almost a Renaissance man. He writes well too, but like I am not a broadcast talent. And neither is Dougie Fisher, and some of us just aren't. And to be thrust onto that stage, to balance that, to have the sense of the moment, he didn't have it on this occasion. And I don't know the circumstances under which he was put into that role. If it was supposed to be someone else who fell out, and he was doing the promotion a favor, or look, it's also possible that his eyes got a little big, and it's like, hey, I'm down with HE the Ring El Turkey right now, and I'm going to try and jump up to this on-screen, hosting level that I haven't really done, even though, of course, yeah, he does the side broadcast that once in a while someone could tune into, but they have 6 different people doing that. Do they actually have whatever his name, like Big Porgy or whatever, the big I forget.
True Georgie.
Yeah, that guy.
True Georgie.
True Georgie.
Yeah, they have him. They have Showbiz the Adult, and last time they had the special Ring broadcast with Dougie and Steve.
Painful. I mean, I think I would listen to Dougie before either of those blokes.
I'm a show.
I know you. Look, I don't mind their YouTube content, but to hear them call it a fight, I just don't. It's not for me. Anyway. So if Dougie raised his hand and said, I should be doing this, maybe you live and learn. Okay, maybe this isn't for me. I have a great role in the sport. I'll just keep, worrying about the Ring belt and Ring magazine and whatever.
And he's the editor of the magazine nowadays. Yes, that's his official role. Yeah.
So, it didn't work out great for him, but hope I don't blame him too much. It's a tough position to be in.
Well, let's say for on the record and be fair to him, Ryan Garcia seems like I've reported when I talked to him and hosted that press conference when he was supposed to fight that kickboxer in December. Like he's relaxed now. He's taking it more professional. Whether you believe him or not, he did give a speech almost apologizing to his young fans for the drugs and alcohol that he was, putting himself through and trying to basically say, I'm clean now. I'm professional. I'm going to max out my career and get after it. So he wasn't necessarily in a trash talk mood. Rolly didn't push trash talk, right? He was just kind of happy to be there, it seemed. And on top of that, the only time we really saw Ryan get upset was when he told Teo to shut the fuck up and that people are sick of him. And I think we were all saying that. And then you had Devin Haney, who I don't know if he was observing Ramadan and that played into it with the fasting, but dude, he didn't talk at all and didn't really seem like he wanted to be there. Jose Ramirez, you're going to get nice guy answers. You know that. Barboza, I think, tried to stir it up at least and did well. But the players, I guess, didn't play ball. But then again, like they didn't ask Oscar and Eddie any questions until like the very final minute.
Right. Look, fighters can be pretty mercurial, right? You don't know exactly what you're going to get from them at all times. Even the ones who often give you the craziest moments, the most batshit insane type antics, they have moments where they will just show up and just be chill, whether they're doing it because it's how they woke up that day, because it's intentional, because they're sort of keeping the powder dry for the promotion later on. I mean, this is
what
still
kind of powder are you referencing here? I mean, Oscar was on that day. It's okay.
There's a lot of between him and Ryan. There's a lot of powder to go around. But yeah, maybe they should. Maybe they should have put some more powder out there and gotten more out of Ryan. Well, I don't know.
One guy seemed to have the powder, but before we get into him real quick, how about Rinaldi with the old school Ropes Grantland podcast mention here of when Virgil pulled. By the way, there's still people. Okay, there are. Shout out to Louis the Barber from Southington, Connecticut, who texts me to this day referencing, hey, remember that time Virgil Hunter told you guys that he would kill Keith Thurman on site and tear off his ponytail? Yeah, baby, right? Shout it out. Yeah, right.
Oh, man.
So let's talk turkey. I mean, Teo. Let's talk turkey on Teo Fimo here.
I have a turkey on Teo, please. A little bit of mustard.
Dude, I can't protect him.
Too much mustard. Obviously, I putting too much mustard on that turkey, man.
Obviously, I couldn't protect him through his recent run of race baiting as promotion, which is really it's been shameless and just ridiculous. He brought that out again with the banana comment with, I think you're going to reference some things he said in an interview afterwards. But in general, dude, he was out of his mind. I understand he was trying to play the heel. I understand he was trying to bring life to an absolute dead press conference. He was trying to challenge people to talk shit, but he was talking over everybody. Dougie had to yell at him, basically put him in line, like daddy pants him. Dude, what the hell is going on? Because this guy's becoming unbearable, and it seems like it's his strategy, but he's beyond unbearable at this point. Like get off my screen. And that's hard because I respect his high-end talent, and I've typically liked his persona in how he uses that to sell fights pre-racism.
Yeah, early in his career when he was he would come in with this brash energy, talk some shit, but be sort of funny and charming with it, had some wit, that sort of East Coast flavor. I mean, he was a fun guy to cover, to be around, to watch. It was, he really seemed like a rising star, and he has become a star both because of the fights he's won, and because to some extent of his personality. I don't think that the turn he's taken in the last year and change has helped him at all in that regard. I think it will ultimately hurt his career going forward. I don't know what's going on with him. Like the way he was acting at that press conference reminded me of and you tell me if this comparison is completely off base, because this was just sort of I don't remember these press conferences as well as you would, but like they reminded me of those big UFC press conferences where they'd have like 8 fights on the card, and they'd all be they'd be like a pyramid of fighters there and their coaches. And whenever Conor McGregor was on one of those cards, he would sit there and just dominate, monopolize the whole thing.
Yes.
Sometimes be funny, but also it would just get tired. Like an hour and a half of this guy commenting over everything. Like you want to cut off their mics. And that's what it was like dealing with Teo at this event yesterday. You're just like, I mean, yeah, you're right. When Ryan Garcia told him to shut up, it's like, thank God, somebody. Like it would also be effective. I think that's what they do for sometimes in the UK ones. They just shut up. They just shut off the mic, right? Like, yeah, just like
pull the plug. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, we're not going to hear you for a minute. Which I think will be fine, right? Give them a mute button. Have like shout out to Around the Horn. Tony Reali is going to be on the market in a minute.
Well,
he can get out there and shut these guys down.
Tied into Teo and tied into the Dougie Fisher conversation. A lot of people are speculating that possibly there was an edict from Turkey for all of these guys not to embarrass themselves, not to get into fist fights, and maybe there was a that includes the host here. Let's not lead these guys into fights, because Dougie was like focusing more on each person's story of overcoming loss and shortcomings and what have you. And, trying to make it a little inspirational. And do you think that was the case? Because if that's the case, dude, like, this is boxing. We're built on this pro wrestling slapstick BS of trash talk and near fighting. Like, that's the secret sauce in this ultimately. I don't like that, dude. I don't like that at all if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, you generally promote fights by somehow making it seem like they're like these guys actually want to fight. That they aren't just getting paid to be here because they're professional athletes who engage in pugilism. They are they hate each other, or they really dislike each other, or they have some reason they want to tear each other's heads off. You want to stir that up in some way, ideally in a way, and most fighters seem to get this, except for Teofimo Lopez. You can, without crossing like the like stepping on all of the biggest like third rails, things that are genuinely offensive to the vast majority of people of your audience, even boxing audiences, right? I mean, you can say a lot of shit in front of boxing audiences and no one's gonna blink, right? I mean, I took Paulie. I just took his girl. Like I took Paulie. Oh, I didn't take Paulie. I took Paulie's belt. You could say almost anything. And for Teo to think that it's a great idea to go to the like small, tiny subset of the English language that that in this world where you could pretty much shit on anyone or anything for any reason, there's a couple little things that we're kind of guarding is, please don't go that far. Just like let's keep one aspect of discourse halfway fucking decent, and him just getting over there and doing an Irish jig all over it while he's pissing all over the place. Like it's not fun to watch. I don't love it has made me, I can't be a fan of his anymore because of things he's said. And I even though I respect his accomplishments in the ring and I'm not going to count him out of fights, I do think that like what's going to happen. I don't think that anyone likes working with him right now. It's hard to imagine that even if he does manage to talk himself into a couple of big fights this way, he better win them, because as soon as he starts losing, people are going to forget his phone number immediately because of the way he
feel like Top Rank is kind of like, Turkey, you take him. We'll make the money off of him, but like he's yours now, Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey doesn't even need. The thing is, you can't make money off of him. Especially because he's a good fighter who actually does want to test himself in big fights. Credit to him. But in those are the hardest fights to make money off of, because you got to pay both sides. You can't just pay the A side $3 million and the B side like $15,000 for showing up. You got to, so, and for that, when you're paying both fighters millions, you need pay-per-view money most of the time, or turkey money. So yeah, I get why they're shoveling him over there. And it's like, why not? They still get their cut. Let him run out his contract, let him shoot his load and move on from there.
I mean, that first, we're like a year and a half into the Saudi Turkey experience. In the beginning, I did hear rumors that Turkey was so against trash talking that like at these night before dinners, he would make fighters stand up and kind of make them apologize to each other for former things said about each other online.
How come he's talking so much shit about Steve Willis then?
That's what I don't get. He's posting memes and trying to dunk all
I
over
guarantee
Steve
you know what Steve Willis will never be able to get a chance to do? Go find Turkey in a crowd somewhere in a bathroom and be like, yo, fuck you for that. And like, I should kick your ass and you're lucky if I don't.
I know. I mean, we can't say much because I opened with a Steve Willis eye joke, but I mean, to be fair, also, let me tell you this. As we've established, whether you care or not, Teo's been like racist as shit on Twitter, including last week calling Richardson Hitchens a black charcoal stick. Turkey responded to that with a bunch of emojis that were like fire, boxing glove, and then Ade Oladipo of DAZN, who in a lot of ways is kind of Turkey's kind of his boss indirectly, actually quote tweeted that, was like, are we just going to sit here and accept this racism all the time moving forward?
Thank you for. I'm glad he did that. I wasn't following, but
I'm glad he did that too.
Like,
I'm wondering if
this goes back to this. It's a shame that Gervonta Davis had the performance that he did, and the fight and the story of the fight was all about the controversy of Steve Willis missing the knockdown call, and Lamont Roach getting robbed. But the Gervonta's fight week comments, where he was, you know, kind of he articulated extremely well what I think rubs a lot of boxing fans wrong about, you know, Turkey, is that he clearly doesn't know shit about boxing. He's brand new to the sport, does not really, and it sucks to see so many involved in the sport sort of falling over themselves to sort of kiss his feet and bow at his greatness because he's throwing around so much money. And look, that's their jobs, right? They got to go get as much money as they can. And it's in our world today, you can't, it's impossible to kind of, there's no such thing as selling out anymore. There's like, if you're getting paid, if you're getting a bag for it, like, you know, so like, good, screw your dignity. Like, but like, it was, I think I personally really appreciated hearing that from Gervonta, hearing someone, even though obviously he's in a position where he can say that. He's one of the few fighters who can stand up in that way. And I don't blame fighters and people in the sport who do chase the money, but to have someone who's out there and has that platform and has that power and clout in the sport say, I don't fuck with him because he doesn't actually, I don't believe that he actually cares about the sport that has been the source of my riches, that has in some ways, you know, arguably saved my life in some way, you know, and is who I am and what I do. This person doesn't respect that, and I can't work with him, or I'm not eager to work with him for that reason.
He also said HE was like on some devil shit, and he said those pictures that he takes with all the fighters look satanic, and everybody in there sold their soul, which is also kind of true at this point, to be very fair, right? You know, yeah, okay, all right, it's weird, it's really weird. Quick question related, not to this at all, but we did know you got on a bus to Choate that time, and you did it all for the nookie. Have you ever found love on a plane like Teo did?
I have not the way that Teo did, nor did that love end the way that Teo's did.
Thank you.
Teo, are you worried about him, man? Unless it's all an act, and like it's hard to believe that you can keep up that kind of act. Like he's doing that thing where he's saying things that sound like they are not at all connected to reality. And there's like the sort of the delusions of grandeur to it all. They're like, look, it's weird because on one hand, I mean, you asked me in one, you texted me the other day in one sentence, you know, tell me what happened in what you think happened in Gervonta Davis fight, and I said fighters should stay away from therapists. But like, man, part of me wonders if Teo needs, you know, as soon as he's done with as soon as he's ready to hang up the gloves, make a street line, so you make a beeline to whoever's selling lithium, man.
Well, what's crazy is
uneven.
We almost felt bad for him on his early rise because he seemed like the sane one in a family of like his dad being out of control. We were hearing all those rumors that his family was against the woman he met on the plane that would become his wife for a short time, and the mother of his child. So it was almost like this kid's trying and there's just too much craziness around him. Then he sort of fell into that craziness with the Cambosis fallout. But I feel like I still believe in this theory that he fooled us ahead of the Josh Taylor fight by purposely acting crazy to get everybody to think he's done. And then he came in and he shocked us and he was nasty again and pound for pound level. And I think Ryan Garcia took that blueprint and used it for the Haney fight. And Teo watched and was like, man, this guy's getting like crazy world famous over something I just did. So Teo's now like, hold my beer. I'll show you what I can do. And he's going to all different crazy new levels. Here's what I'll also say. Again, I like these fights on this May 2nd. I like the trajectory that if we end with Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo at welterweight at the end of this, like, holy shit, that's going to be the craziest build and one of the most explosive fights ever. So if Teo can just bring down the annoyance level a bit, remove the racism, and continue to get in there against dogs like Barbosa and take on all comers, then the next year in boxing is going to be really fun. But he's got to figure out the formula, dude, because he's out of his mind right now.
Yeah, look, at this point, I don't know how. I mean, you say like lose the racism. I mean, that he has done enough and gone back to the well over and over again. People looked for ways to give him second chances and third chances in some ways, more in ways that went on to embarrass everyone who wanted to give him a second and third chance. And at this point, like, well, sure, like he as long as he doesn't do anything criminal or doesn't get suspended from the sport, you know, he deserves a right to go on with his career. But like, I don't think I'm coming back into the Teo fan club for any reason. Like, he could be a great fighter. He could go on to first ballot Hall of Fame type career. But at this point, I think he's like that. I don't know what he would do at this point to convince. Yeah, I think he's just, to me, he's showed me more than I ever need to see for someone I want to actually get behind, which doesn't have anything to do with what kind of, yeah. Hey, yo.
I mean, speaking of getting behind people, are you ready for the moment of the press conference?
But with Teo, I did like when he was like, we ain't even put the tip in yet.
Yeah, no, dude, he did have some zingers in there, and here obviously is the best or worst moment, your decision at the end of that presser.
It's going to be about a year now. He's hungry. He's hungry to get on top. He's hungry to be world champion. What?
Oh, shit, pause, man. You forgot to pause. There's no Diddy.
Oh, that.
Big drama.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Big drama show.
My bad. All right. It's got that. All right. No, he's ready to just get on top of the boxing world. He's ready. Not put any oil.
Drama show.
Hey, yo.
Dude, that was great. That was absolutely great. Okay.
He's ready to lick him down like a stamp, you know?
Yeah, let me lick you up.
No, I mean, it was, I just love how, there's so much to love there. It's so funny because, like, first of all, I remember, what was it, like 10 years ago? Fucking Roy Hibbert was out here getting just raked over the coals because he had a pause. He said pause during an NBA press conference.
I remember that, and now it's like it's coming up everywhere,
nonstop. It's like
Big Bang Zhang, baby. Right?
Yeah. And boxing just never. Boxing does not pause for that. It's like no.
No. I want to get your comments on Haney real quick because even though Dougie Fisher, when he approached Jose Ramirez yesterday, was basically like, hey, Jose, you're washed, and we all thought you should have been retired. Did you ever consider retiring? I was like, whoa. He didn't say it like that, but it felt like that. Ramirez is a minus 1,000 dollar. I'm sorry, Haney a minus 1,000 favorite. Dude, like, Haney's got to answer a lot of questions in this fight.
I'm with you. So both this and I'll even give the Rolly Ryan fight some credit for comeback fights for these two who neither has been in the ring since they fought each other. What was that? Like early last year?
April of last year.
So, okay. So we're going on almost 1 year. So neither's been in the ring for a year, basically, when they fight in May, 13 months. But I think this is ambitious matchmaking, or it could be, for these kind of comeback fights. My expectations were way lower. I thought they would be shopping in the bargain basement, like, call up Eddie and Frank and be like, hey, we need some plasterers. Can you get that guy? Can you get the older brother, that guy that fought Shakur? Like, can you call him up at the chip shop?
Let me get one of them
working the fryer?
Please. Somebody go to the coal mines and get me a carpet seat.
So the fact that that at least they got names who on their right, if they still have anything left. And look, I will talk myself into guys having one last night in them over and over again. That is one of my weaknesses. Like, I was the one out here being like, I don't know, Kermit Cintron, like, if he's like he was just a couple years ago, he could give Canelo some trouble.
Forget, you picked Inuit Jojo Dan to
have
a party at the Eskimo against Kell Brook. Yeah,
that was that who I have to blame. Rest in peace, Carson Jones, for that, because he made me think that Kell Brook was a lot lesser of a fighter than I thought he would.
Just because he got stabbed in the thigh on holiday by his boy, that's not, come on.
Yeah. Which boy?
Okay. All right. We're not talking about Freddie's boys here. All right.
But
Haney was weird, man. And maybe that's just fasting. I don't know. But he was like out of it and weird.
I don't know how he's. I don't care. I don't read too much into their demeanor at these press conferences. But I think it's if Jose Ramirez fights with some urgency, if he still has that in him, this is a tough fight for Devin Haney. Like, Ramirez has been at that weight his entire career. Nearly all of it.
No, they're moving up to 47 here.
Oh, okay. So I don't even know who's more or less hurt by that.
So Ramirez was saying a lot in his answers that he believes he will almost be reborn at 147 because that 40 weight cut was killing him even in his prime.
Which is a real thing for older fighters like him.
And Rolly jumped in and said the same thing. He said when he was at 35, he should have been at 40. When he was at 40, he should have been at 47.
Rolly has sucked at every weight, though. You do have to consider that.
Well, as a pure boxer, yes. But if Rolly gets his chin back, because he had no chin against Pitbull, if he gets his chin back with that power, he's in every fight, isn't he?
I don't know if he's in every fight, but he has the puncher's chance. Yes. But but also he lost to what, Jackson Marinez? Like, remember, like he loses.
He deserves
to lose half the fights that he wins.
Steve Willis and the New York State Athletic Commission were probably wearing a black hat for that fight too. Yeah.
No, but I think, granted, there's also a version of these fights where Ramirez is a shell of his former self, puts up no resistance, and it's an easy night for Haney, and it looks more impressive than it really is because of the name. Likewise with Ryan facing Rolly Romero. But it just seems like if those guys show up, if they have good nights, all of a sudden these become competitive fights and Devin Haney is, he just gonna, if Jose Ramirez fights with some energy, with some pressure, that's not a fun kind of style for Devin Haney to be.
He's gonna have to stand in there and punch unless he's going to completely jab and get out of the way.
It's not. I just see how that fight turns into a really interesting watch and something where Haney has to win it, which is all you can ask for in these comeback fights. I was expecting easy touches. These have a chance to turn into real fights. And I shit on every matchup.
This could have easily been shitty opponents. Seriously. And I know some people think these are shitty opponents and they just want Garcia Haney too, but I understand with the long layoff for both, everybody, all three A sides can lose here.
Yes, I agree. And I also, I don't think Rolly Romero is good, but I also believe firmly that you have no clue what you're going to get from Ryan Garcia anytime he steps into the ring. And so do I think it is way more likely that Garcia, who is, the more talented and experienced and skilled boxer in pretty much every way, will, find the opening and land the shot that ends that fight before Rolly catches him with some crazy looping, out of control shit? Yes, I think that's more likely to happen. But, Ryan could, who the hell knows what state he will be in when he has to go into that ring.
Yes.
He's not, I'm not ready to consider him a consistent performer yet.
I agree with you on that, but I think if he's clean and mentally sound, there might be an upper gear that we haven't seen of him yet. Now that he has the confidence from the Haney fight, that his power and speed, especially when he's not sucking down as much, could be a factor. I mean, I hung out with Joe Goosen over the weekend, and he told me straight up, Ryan's the hardest puncher I've ever caught mitts for, and among, if not the most explosive athlete I've ever trained. So like,
I can see some of that. I mean, the speed, his hand speed and his ability to deliver those punches is has been apparent for as long as he's been around. But he also, I mean, look, he all none of that really helped him against Tank, right? I guess anyway, I like both undercards. I like, well, I don't even know what the undercards are now, but what I consider the main event of this is Teo and Barbosa. I love that fight. I love that fight.
So good.
I mean, Barbosa you see how hungry he is for this?
Yes.
And how mad he is that he, that Teo, Teo hasn't been giving him this opportunity, and then he finally had to force it. And they Top Rank basically signed them to make that fight, or like Top Rank thought they would fight each other, and it never happened. It's just I really, really like that fight. And I guess just because I do need to sprinkle a little salt onto the occasion, not this fight card, which I like, but I'm serious about this. We should never have referred to this crop of fighters as four princes. We should never have given them the honor of even being compared in a diminutive way to the Four Kings era, to Marvin Hagler, to Sugar Ray Leonard,
Brent
to
Brookhouse
Roberto
just wrote that story for CBS.
What?
And
Who did?
My colleague Brent Brookhouse basically just wrote that same story.
I didn't read it, but we need to
I
downgrade this to
the
to the four Dukes, the four Earls.
I took that personally. Okay,
these guys don't deserve it, and I hope to, because they haven't, their reign, their era is almost over. How old are they?
They're not almost, dude. Their era is just starting, because Turkey's going to match them all.
It's been just starting for 8 years, bro.
Yeah, but now Turkey's going to match them in round robin, basically against each other, and I think that's the best thing we can get, dude. We're comparing them to Leonard and Hearns.
We should, right? That shouldn't have happened.
I mean,
that shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Okay, but they don't have.
They'd have not even lived up to half of it. Not a quarter.
Here's the thing: they have to equal. There's two things out of that they have to equal. One, the amount of times they fight each other. In the Four Kings fought each other 9 times in 10 years, so that's a big thing.
They also fought a bunch of other great fighters outside of that and beat most of them.
Just be exciting. Just make exciting fights, and I don't think we're going to complain that they're not the same skill level as those.
The four trolls. Like, what are we supposed to call?
Possible.
Yeah, I mean, they
also. Canelo is Saturday. Munguia versus Sirache 2 is the co-main. This will be in Riyadh, but at American time. And they moved Martin Bakoli, F.A. Ajagba, I believe, to that card, which was originally the night before on this Times Square card. And then Sunday, Top Rank, I don't think they formally announced it, but Inoue is supposed to be back against some guy. Quickly, Rafe, are you ready to find out if you care about this weekend?
Yeah, I think the answer is no, right?
I don't think you will. Here we go. Let's start off with Thursday. That's tomorrow night. Indio, California on DAZN. Manuel Flores versus Jorge Leyva. 10 rounds, junior featherweights. Do you care?
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on there. Friday, London. Natasha Jonas and Lauren Price are going to bring together 3 of 4 women's welterweight titles. And in the co-main, Caroline Dubois will defend her WBC women's lightweight title against Bo Mi Ray Shin.
That's a real name?
That's a real last name. And the rest of the card is all chicks. A lot of chicks on one card. Are you in or out?
No, I'm out.
Yeah. And I knew it. Also Friday, Brighton, England, Harlem Eubank will face Tyrone McKenna in the main event, 12 rounds welterweights. The co-main is the return of Mick Conlon from retirement, I believe, 8-round junior lightweights against Asad Asif Khan, and a bunch of blokes on the undercard. Do you care?
I give it the Mick Conlon double birds. Don't care.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's also go Friday on DAZN, Toronto, MVP Prospect Series, Jake Paul and company. Lucas Body, the man who sent HTO Silv to hell, will main event in his own country against Ryan Rakaza. 10 rounds lightweights. Your co-main will be Sarah Bailey defending the WBA women's junior flyweight title against Christina Navarro. I believe Dan Canobio on the call. Do you care?
Nope. Don't care.
Okay. All right. I think it's because there's women on there. That's what I think.
There's a lot of reasons.
Also, Friday in Moscow, Albert Batir Gaziev will defend his WBA interim junior lightweight title against Cruz Romero.
How did a guy named Batir Gaziev also get named Albert?
I don't understand that. And you don't care, do you?
Prince
You're not gonna,
Albert, eh?
if this was Guillermo Jones rematching what's his name?
Lebedev, yeah.
Lebedev, yeah, that'd be great. Friday, Costa Rica. David Jimenez will defend his WBA interim junior bantamweight title against Kevin Lara. You don't care about this.
I don't care, man.
Man, this is a rough weekend. Saturday on ProBox TV, Long Beach, California. Is it the Hangar? Tell me it's the Hangar.
No, that's not in Long Beach. That's in Santa Monica.
Balls. Arnold, hey guy. Remember him from?
I do remember him.
Yeah.
He lost to Stephen Fulton once, right?
Yes, that's right. He's in the main event, 10 rounds featherweights against I beat Joette and I took Gonzalez's sister. Okay, what do you think about that?
I mean, I'm kind of curious. It's the most I've come, the closest I've come. The most I've wait a minute. The closest I've come to caring, and the most I've come at all today.
Okay, all right, we're back at Chode all over again. That's the weekend we barely care. Will we be back next week? What do you think?
Sure. If there's I mean, it'd be more fun just to chop it up.
I like chopping it up.
About.
Let me see what is the weekend after that we'd be previewing. You think there's anything good going on? Oh, Keith Thurman with the stripper. The strippers in the co-main.
Nice. Who is he stripping against?
10 rounds middleweights against Basir Basir I.
Wait, what card is it down there? They dug up Daoud Yordan to fight on, because that is some serious malpractice. I saw that down, man. Alex McClintock, come back, man. Explain to me, mate, how you were who did this? Who took him out of Indonesia? Daoud Yordan. You remember him losing to Celestino Caballero?
Yes.
Like that was a beatdown, and that was like 2 decades ago, man. It ain't right.
So that following weekend, there is Nick Ball against TJ Doheny for the featherweight title on DAZN in Liverpool.
That's kind of fun. I mean,
you're gonna watch the shit out of that. I know that.
Those are just like two little bald men who don't give a fuck about life. Like just lots of rage, lots of anger. This is like yeah, those guys are gonna really get into it.
And March 15th, also on DAZN from Orlando, gives us Austin Ammo Williams in the main event at middleweight, but you've got an Edgar Berlanga get well fight in the co-main against I think a literal Uber driver, and you've got a Jermaine Ortiz comeback bout on the undercard too. I don't know, you're not into that. We'll find out.
I really don't like Austin Ammo Williams. Not my style.
Okay. There's also going to be the Irish people back next weekend for
shout out to the Irish crew.
Final note on being Irish and St. Patrick's Day. Will you ever work a shift again on Paddy's weekend at McSorley's?
It depends on if I'm living in New York City. If I am, then likely yes, because everybody, all hands on deck. I'll probably be working in a terrible capacity. Like I won't be behind the bar because I've lost the seniority there, but they'll throw me on the floor and make me do the shit house. That's fine. Okay. I'll do it. It's fun.
So let me ask you this, because you kind of never know where you're going to end up living. Is it correct to say that out loud?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of go place. I've really taken a thing to the show, the show Reacher. I'm
Reach around.
Wow. I like to just wander around menacing people like a large guy and live in a van down by
in a caravan. Yeah. With Big John and the mobile phone. Yeah. I was going to say, if you ever have to move back to New York again, you got to get back into working there. It's in your blood. You have to.
I would love to. Yeah. I think in all likelihood, they would throw me in as a fill-in whenever they needed. Because, I know how to work there.
Then we get a sequel. McSorley's, you know,
What would the sequel? I don't know if we can get a
McSorley's my wife and me. How about that? You know, all right. No, okay. Hey, they got to end this channel already in this thing. Rafe at Rafe Boogs, thank you for a great performance today. Do you want to tell the people anything, or you're kind of over that?
I'm over that, man. I love being inside the box with you guys. You know, there's a lot of room inside this box. I don't know who stretched it out, but we could all fit.
That's pretty gross. See you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Thanks so much. Shout out to Doug E. Fresh. Thank you very much. We out.